and so many like trips to the hospital and back and forth. There was so much going on at the same time.
Fame looks glamorous from the outside. Sold-out arenas, screaming fans, chart-topping hits. It feels like the ultimate dream. But behind the flashing lights and roaring crowds, the reality can be far more complicated. For many artists, success arrives faster than they're ready for, bringing intense pressure, endless expectations, and a spotlight that never turns off. What the world celebrates as stardom can sometimes feel like a trap to the very people living it. Some musicians handled it. Others didn't get the chance. In today's video, we're looking at artists whose incredible talent changed music forever, but whose lives were deeply affected by the crushing weight of fame. Their stories are powerful, emotional, and in some cases, truly heartbreaking. 10. Avicii. Avicii, whose real name was Tim Bergling, didn't just enter the EDM scene, he completely reshaped it. As a young producer from Sweden, he began making music in his bedroom, and before long, his sound exploded across the world. Songs like Levels and Hey Brother became global anthems, turning him into one of the biggest DJs on the planet almost overnight. But behind the euphoric melodies and festival lights, the pressure of constant touring was taking a serious toll. Avicii was performing hundreds of shows across continents, barely having time to rest. Interviews later revealed that he struggled heavily with anxiety and exhaustion, and the non-stop travel pushed his health to dangerous levels. Eventually, his body simply couldn't keep up. After several hospitalizations, Avicii announced his retirement from touring in 2016, hoping to focus on recovery and music production. Sadly, the pressures he had faced for years never fully disappeared. In 2018, the music world was devastated when he passed away at just 28. 9. Juice WRLD Juice. WRLD became a voice for an entire generation almost instantly. His breakout hit Lucid Dreams captured raw emotions about heartbreak, anxiety, and inner struggles in a way that millions of young listeners related to deeply. What made him unique was his honesty. His music often felt like a direct window into his thoughts. But that honesty also revealed something darker. Even before his rise to fame, Juice WRLD had reportedly struggled with substance use. Once his career skyrocketed, the pressure of global fame only intensified those struggles. He was constantly touring, recording, and living under the spotlight at a very young age. His lyrics frequently hinted at the pain he was dealing with internally, almost as if he was warning listeners about the battles he was fighting. In December 2019, tragedy struck when Juice WRLD passed away at just 21. His story became a powerful reminder of how quickly fame can amplify personal struggles, especially for artists who reach superstardom before they've had time to grow. 8. Mac Miller. Mac Miller's journey began in Pittsburgh's underground hip-hop scene, where his laid-back style and creative personality quickly attracted attention. When his debut album Blue Slide Park hit #1 on the charts, he became one of the youngest artists to achieve such success. But with that success came overwhelming pressure. Mac Miller openly admitted in interviews that fame created a strange emptiness he struggled to deal with. While millions of fans loved him, the constant scrutiny and expectations left him feeling isolated. Miller even spoke about periods where he withdrew from the public completely, trying to cope with the darker side of fame. Despite attempts to rebuild his life and focus on music, tragedy struck in 2018 when he passed away at just 26. His death shocked fans worldwide and highlighted the hidden struggles many artists face behind their success. Number 7. Keith Moon. Keith Moon wasn't just a drummer. He was a force of nature behind the drum kit for The Who. Known for his explosive style and unpredictable personality, Moon helped redefine what rock drumming could be. His performances were chaotic, powerful, and unforgettable, making him one of the most iconic musicians of the classic rock era. But the same wild energy that made him legendary also fueled a destructive lifestyle. Fame only amplified his already reckless behavior. Moon became infamous for extreme partying, substance use, and unpredictable antics both on and off stage. Over time, the situation became increasingly concerning for those around him. Keith Moon passed away at just 32 after overdosing on the very medication prescribed to help him. 6. Syd Barrett. Syd Barrett was the brilliant mind behind the early sound of Pink Floyd. As the band's founder and creative visionary, Barrett wrote many of their earliest songs, shaping their psychedelic style with imaginative lyrics and experimental music that felt unlike anything else at the time. His creativity helped launch the band into international attention almost immediately. Songs like See Emily Play and Arnold Lane quickly turned Pink Floyd into one of the most talked-about bands in the late 1960s. But as fame grew, Barrett's behavior reportedly became increasingly unpredictable. Those close to him began noticing dramatic changes in his personality and performances. Concerts became erratic, and it became difficult for the band to continue working with him. By 1968, Barrett was quietly removed from the group he had helped create. After leaving Pink Floyd, he retreated almost completely from public life and rarely appeared in the music industry again. Despite his short career, his influence on psychedelic rock remains enormous. 5. Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison, the charismatic frontman of The Doors, was known for his hypnotic voice and poetic lyrics. When the band released Light My Fire in 1967, it quickly shot to the top of the charts, transforming Morrison from a rebellious poet into a global rock icon almost overnight. But Morrison struggled with the sudden fame that surrounded him. Concerts often turned unpredictable as his behavior became more erratic. Legal troubles and controversies followed, turning Morrison into one of the most controversial figures in rock music. Despite his incredible talent, the pressure of fame seemed to push him deeper into self-destructive habits. Seeking a quieter life, Morrison eventually moved to Paris. But in 1971, tragedy struck when he was found dead at just 27. His passing cemented his place in the infamous 27 Club, alongside other legendary musicians who died far too young. 4. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's story is unlike any other in music history. From performing as a child in the Jackson 5 to becoming the king of pop, his rise to fame began at an incredibly young age. By the time he was an adult, he was already one of the most recognizable people on the planet. But growing up in the spotlight came with enormous pressure. Jackson often spoke about how fame isolated him from normal life. Simple experiences, walking in a park or visiting a public place, became impossible without attracting massive attention. As the years passed, the constant scrutiny from media and the public added even more stress to his life. Despite creating some of the most iconic music ever recorded, Jackson reportedly struggled with loneliness and intense expectations. While his life was filled with controversy and complexity, his musical legacy remains one of the most influential in history. 3. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston possessed one of the most powerful voices music has ever heard. From the moment she stepped into the spotlight, it was clear she was destined for greatness. Her songs dominated charts worldwide, and hits like I Will Always Love You turned her into a global superstar. But behind the flawless performances, created a storm that followed her throughout her career. Over time, substance use and personal challenges began affecting both her public image and personal life. Despite several attempts to recover and rebuild her career, the struggles never fully disappeared. In 2012, Whitney Houston was found dead in her hotel room, shocking fans across the globe. Her death marked the loss of one of music's most extraordinary talents, reminding the world that even the most powerful voices can carry deep personal pain. 2. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse possessed a voice that felt completely timeless. Blending elements of jazz, soul, and raw emotional storytelling, she created music that sounded both classic and painfully real at the same time. But with that success came an intense level of scrutiny. The media followed her constantly. Every struggle, every mistake, and every difficult moment. Behind the scenes, Winehouse was reportedly battling serious mental health challenges along with substance use issues. Instead of stepping away to recover, she was often pushed to keep performing while clearly struggling. In 2011, Amy Winehouse tragically passed away at just 27. Though her life was short, her music continues to influence artists and resonate with listeners around the world. 1. Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain, the frontman of Nirvana, became the unexpected voice of an entire generation. When the band released Nevermind in 1991, it completely changed the landscape of rock music and launched the grunge movement into the mainstream. But Cobain never seemed comfortable with the massive fame that followed. Being labeled the voice of a generation placed enormous expectations on him. Friends and colleagues later described him as someone deeply overwhelmed by the pressure of success. The spotlight that made him famous also intensified his personal struggles and emotional isolation. In April 1994, Kurt Cobain passed away at just 27. His death sent shockwaves through the music world and left behind a legacy of raw, emotional music that still resonates with fans decades later. Before you go, which of these stories affected you the most? These artists gave the world unforgettable music, but their journeys remind us that fame can carry a heavy price. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories from the world of music. And tell us in the comments, which artist's story do you think the world should never forget?